Hey guys, Chris here. Today I'm going to give you guys a quick look, my first impressions of the brand new Mercedes EQE SUV. Today I have with me the 350 4MATIC. So in today's video, we're going to check this car out. I do have this car for a few days, so I'm going to try to do all my usual testing, my long trip test, range test, and full review. But because we've been having some crazy weather the past few days and some storms, I may be not able to do all the testing if we have crazy weather. So I want to get in my first impressions video in case the weather just turns completely crazy. So taking a look at this new EQE SUV, it has a really nice gray paint color, and these wheels also are very interesting. Not sure about the size, but they are 22s, 265, 35, 22s in the front. Does this have a stagger setup? I don't think so. Mercedes usually don't have a stagger setup. Let's see if we can find any markings on this rear tire. So 265, 35, 22. And I have to say this spec with, the side steps and everything is a really nice spec. If I'm not mistaken, this car also has the AMG exterior styling package, and I think it looks really nice. I have to say, from the new Mercedes, when we're talking about the EQE sedan, EQE SUV, EQS sedan, and EQS SUV, I think this is the best looking. And like all other Mercedes of this new era, these electric cars, it's very spec dependent. The last car I had, the EQS SUV, was kind of a boring spec, and I think this looks a lot better with this paint color and these wheels, but I'm pretty sure you can make it even better with a different spec. But from the onset, I do think that the exterior design of the EQE SUV versus the EQS SUV is a little bit more successful. There are a little bit more creases, a little bit more lines, and it just seems a little bit more harmonious. It just fits the look a little bit better. It has just a more attractive look. The silhouette is a little bit better. It's not as bland. It's not as boring. And that is mostly apparent on the rear here, where you can see that there's actually like a line that goes here. It's just a little bit more distinct and looks just better than the EQS SUV in my opinion. Here we have the badging EQE 300 or 350 rather 4MATIC. This is the EQE 350 4MATIC. I'm going to put the specs of this car on the screen for you guys now. And overall, the exterior design really attractive compared to other Mercedes EQE and EQS products. So let's jump into the car and take a look at the interior. So let's hop into the front seat here, and you have these door handles that do pop out and pop in, so you can lock the car like this. Should be able to press there, and then you should be able to also press there to unlock it, or you just walk up to the car and it will actually unfold or unlock those handles for you. They'll come out of the chassis. This has a little bit of an interesting spec because this has microfiber cloth or like an Alcantara type of material here on the doors and also on the center of the seat. So this isn't leather at all. Only the steering wheel, I think, is covered in leather. Otherwise, this is a vegan interior. And it has, this wetsuit material on top of the doors like you'll find in other Mercedes EQ products, like also the EQS SUV. But this has like this insert here that's a lot nicer than what you find in the other Mercedes with their faux leather. I prefer this material on the dashboard and on the center console to other Mercedes fake leather, or what do you want to call it, in the EQS and EQS SUV. So let's take a hop inside. And this car is interesting because now look how I'm sitting and upright and how the steering wheel is. And this is the exit position. So if I press the start button, it will go back to my saved position. But it's so strange that I'm sitting so upright. Now it will recline the seat back for me, and that is a lot better. So inside of the cabin here is pretty much like any other EQE or EQS or EQS SUV. We have the same design language, and all of these four cars built on the same platform, really closely related to each other, have similar exterior design and similar interior design. As I said, I think the exterior design of this EQE SUV is the most successful, but they're really spec dependent. Like, I drove an EQE sedan 53 AMG earlier this year, and I really like the way that car looks. And also the EQS SUV in the right spec also looks quite nice. My least favorite is actually the EQS sedan. But in here, pretty much the same. This car does not have the hyperscreen, which I do prefer. You only have, you have this central screen here instead of this whole piece of glass. And I just think it works a lot better. It's not overwhelming. You don't need all that screen real estate. It's just kind of gimmicky. And also the screen in front of the driver is more angled or more, well, horizontal to the driver, so it doesn't collect as much dust. I just think this is a better setup. And then you can have, you can have wood here if you want. This has some kind, this is probably the cheapest option, but you can have wood here. It just looks a lot more and feels a lot more luxurious. This car has the AMG style steering wheel without the AMG badging, but I'm pretty sure this is identical to the AMG steering wheel I had in the EQE 53 AMG sedan. Overall quality in here is pretty much on par with the EQS and EQS SUV, and that is a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is that you still have cheap airbag cover, you still have, some cheap feeling switchgear, and you also have the same, interface with MBUX, very little physical buttons, no volume knob, and stuff like that. But overall quality is really nice. You have these nice speaker grills here from, if you get the Burmester sound system. This feels nice. Everything feels solid except for some cheap plastics here on, you can see here on below the switchgear. This is cheap and this is cheap also. And then this, my seat goes, okay, we can have it in that position, or I'm gonna go back. So mostly that is fine because of the price point of this car. So if you seen my EQS SUV videos, the 580 4MATIC I had a few weeks ago, that car was 1,924,000 kroners, almost 2 million kroners, 200,000 euros or $200,000, a crazy price. And this interior here is 97% as good and looks about the same. But this car, granted this is the 350, so it's not the fast one, is 1,167,000 kroners spec'd this way. So it's about, what's that, 800,000 kroners or $80,000 or euros cheaper than that EQS SUV. It's almost half price. I'm pretty sure you can spec this still very nicely for half the price of that EQS SUV. Before I take you guys out on the road and just give you guys my first driving impressions of this car, I just want to show you guys the rear seat. So rear seat, you still have the same nice materials. This is still cheap and plasticky. Really not, in my opinion, really not acceptable at this price point. But it's not the worst. You can see this looks a little bit deep. Did this seat move back? Yeah, I think this seat moved a little bit back when I got out of the car. But if it didn't, really nice. I mean, knee room, pretty decent. Flat floor. I mean, your foot room is amazing. In a lot of cars, you have a lot of knee room, but you don't have any foot room. This seat, again, set to my driving position. I like to sit low. There's plenty of room here. And also headroom. This has a huge panoramic sunroof, and it looks like this part opens, which is amazing. I mean, I haven't seen an opening that big that actually opens. So rear seat room here, really impressive. It doesn't feel much more cramped than in the EQS SUV. This is actually really impressive. I have a lot of room here. I'm 5'10" or 178 centimeters, but even if you're a very tall adult like 6'3" plus or 190 centimeters plus, I think you're still going to be very comfortable in the rear seats of this car. So let's jump into the driver's seat again, take you guys for a quick spin, and give you guys my first driving impressions of this EQE SUV 350 4MATIC. So before I set off, guys, I just want to tell you that I'm going to try to do all my testing with this car that I usually do, but I only have it for about 3 days, and also the weather lately has been crazy. We've had a storm called Hans passing through eastern Norway the past few days, and I was supposed to do, you know, a long trip test with the Audi Q8 50 e-tron or e-tron 50 I just had, but because of the weather I aborted that test. No point in doing a test when we have crazy insane weather. So if you don't want to miss out on any of the future videos, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and also give a thumbs up if you are liking this video. And also, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, which is Elton. Elton is the most awesome charging app, but as was saying, the most awesome charging app if you live in all of these countries, because one charging app will let you charge at almost all charge point operators in all of these countries. So one app, one map interface, one charging interface, and one payment method makes charging at fast chargers, lightning chargers, hyperchargers so easy if you live in Norway, Sweden, or Finland. And I'm just going to turn off the acoustic warning there for exceeding the speed limit by 1 km/h. So if you want to support the channel, go to the link in the description box down below and download the Elton charging app. So out on the road, and now we're heading down this road here, and after, you know, having driven that Audi Q8 e-tron 50 for a few days, my first impressions with this car compared to that car is there's a lot more road noise in this car compared to that Audi. So these cars are stacked a little bit weirdly against each other now, because you have the EQS SUV, which is a bigger, more expensive car than the Q8 e-tron, and then you have this car, which is a little bit smaller car. Not sure about the pricing yet. I haven't spec'd one of these, but I believe it's a little bit cheaper. So it's kind of we have these half classes of these cars. But other than this being a little bit more noisy when it comes to road noise, wind noise is nicely suppressed. This car has the double glazed windows. Other than that, this is a really nice driving experience. There's something about the way Mercedes calibrates their throttle, brake, steering inputs and just controls that makes this feel so much smoother than that Audi, even though the Audi is quieter and they're both electric. It's kind of strange. I was trying to tell a friend of mine and explain, it's like both of these cars have 6-cylinder engines, but the Audi has a V6 and this has an inline 6. An inline 6 is inherently more balanced, just smoother by inherently, like by construction. And this feels like that. The Audi, more sporty to drive, feels more solid down a road like this, but this isn't far off. This is really impressive to drive, and I told you guys in the Q8 range test video of that 50 e-tron 50, I told you that I prefer to drive that Audi compared to the EQS SUV, and I do, but I think I prefer driving this to the Q8 e-tron 50. It's on-air suspension, and there's just a smoothness about this car that you don't get in the Audi. And it's not as, you know, bolt-like or as uncanny to drive as that EQS SUV because of the size, because of the lack of weight compared to that car, and also because of the tuning. I feel like Mercedes have tuned this car a little bit more sporty, and it's really nice to drive, especially the steering. It's just super nicely weighted and precise. I mean, some of the Mercedes EQ cars, like the EQ E53 AMG, has even nicer steering than my private vehicle, my Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. So driving wise, this is impressive. I can't wait to do my week of testing with this car, range test, long trip test, and all of those tests, because first impressions, this is nicer, smoother, more comfortable than that Audi Q8 e-tron 50. So guys, that's just a quick impressions, quick first drive of this Mercedes EQE SUV 350 Norwegian 350 4MATIC. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.